What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the P Pod, episode 3. I'm your host, Malachi Polson, and today we're with Clint and Efinda.
I appreciate you having me, my boy.
Of course. So, Clint, I know you're from Ireland, so tell us about your journey, how you made it over to the States and started playing basketball.
Well, growing up for me, like a lot of people, I played a lot of sports. My older brother, he played basketball. My mom, having me in whole lot of sports, basketball wasn't really the main sport for me. I was playing, rugby, Gaelic football, and doing track. I was playing a whole bunch of sports growing up. I was always, active. But one thing was, I was always around the game because my older brother and I always wanted to do things that he was doing. And, basketball really just came natural to me, and I probably want to say around like the fifth grade, I started playing basketball like organized, and I wasn't really good like in like a team setting. I was very individual, you know what I mean? I was really just trying to get my own, but I wasn't really like good enough to even get my own for real. So I was like really a bad teammate, but ultimately I really wanted to win deep down, but I didn't really know how to channel that, so having an older brother around that time was key for me because he used to always give me a lot of key pointers and things like that. And I want to say like going into my sixth grade year, I want to say like in the summer, I was watching like home team hoops, and I seen like the McDonald's documentary, like guys like Dwayne Bacon, Antonio Blake, and Ben Simmons, like that 2015 class,
Yeah, bro, Jalen Hands and them.
yeah, bro. So like, back home, like you don't really see things like that. So when I like seen that, cause I used to spend summers with my cousins in like Ohio, I used to see like those videos, like Ball is Life, all them things. I'm like, yo, this is what I want to do. And from that point on, like I really, really started to focus on basketball, even though I was playing a whole bunch of other sports up until I want to say I was about 14 is when I stopped playing other sports and started focusing on basketball. That whole time, like that was my goal. I used to always tell my mom, like I gotta leave, I gotta move out, I gotta do this. And there was a summer camp when I was like 14 years old. Anthony Gahan was running it, and he brought one of his coaches back with him. His name's Cody, and I met them there. And I went up to Cody and I said, like, can you bring me over to the States with you? Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I was naive to how everything worked out, but that's what I really wanted to do. So I took advantage of that opportunity. And he was like, if I ever get the opportunity to bring you over, I will. And like a year goes by and we stayed in like brief contact. And I come back from the European Championships and I don't really hear nothing from anybody, but all my other boys, like, I had, friends of mine go to other places in Europe or like Canada or even to the States, and like I was left with nothing. I was kind of like ready like to move on and try really just get a job and just try just actually just make money, you know what I mean? Because I knew I was aware of that window. Like if you don't really go over around like 15, 16, it's really downhill from there. So, by the grace of God, I heard from them, and I ended up, packing my things after convincing my mom after 2 weeks to let me go to New York, and I went to Lawrence Wilmere Academy. That's where I did my first year of high school, and I played for Coach Weiss and Coach Cody over there, and like that whole year was a whole adjustment period for me, like just getting used to, New York basketball and the culture over there, and just having just to figure things out, like
Yeah.
you don't like when you're there and you're by yourself, like without family and things like that, you have to, grow up pretty quick. I used to hear like every single day, the faster way to success is maturity, so the faster you mature, the faster you can, achieve that success that you're looking for, and then COVID obviously hit, and that gave me a lot of time just to be, in the crib, and I really laid down the foundation of my whole really high school career during that time because I was before COVID hit, I was really starting to excel like pretty fast. I was really starting to get used to everything, and then once the whole world shut down, it's like okay, like now I got to just focus on myself.
Yeah.
And I was living with Cody, and he like we were working like so much. We built a hoop in the backyard. We was just doing a whole bunch of just outside stuff, like trying to get me more athletic, faster, get me in better shape. I'm running 5 miles. I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff, and like though that routine and that work ethic, it gets instilled to you at like 15, 16 years old. Like you carry that on, and I only did 1 year in line swimming, and then I ended up going to St. John's. And that year at St. John's, they had no season up until like later on in the year because the COVID thing was just a
Yeah,
mess.
weird like that hybrid year. Like it was like eight or some games. Like so I think Suffolk they did like a vote. I think Suffolk voted for 8 games, and like playoffs was like game 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Nassau did like they wanted to do. They just did
Yeah.
like 8 games, like just 8 games, but then it only being five for some schools. Like we only played five because like teams got COVID. So yeah, it was like weird that end of 20. That was 21. I was pretty sure.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
horrible. I went home and I spent the whole year at home. I did school from the crib and I was with my family. So I did like a whole lot of, again, like that whole COVID time, you're just by yourself. Like you just
yeah,
gotta just really figure out like, if this is what you really want to do, or if this is, how are you going to figure things out when things get back to normal. And I missed that season. I missed AAU that year. Like I already knew I was behind. You know what I mean? So it was just like, but it was at the same time I was just preparing the whole time because I knew like my opportunity was gonna come. You know what I mean? So, that next season comes around and I get back to New York and I just pick up where I left off. And that year we were supposed to be loaded that year at St. John's. It was supposed to be me, Ryan, Jacob, Anno, Carter. Like we were supposed to be just stacked that year. And
yeah,
it didn't pan out like that way, like in terms of the roster, but it was still a great year for me in terms of just figuring my game out, figuring out how to put up numbers and still win, and playing with Carter. Like obviously Carter's doing really well right now,
yeah,
and he was so young at that time, and you could see just flashes back then. Um, playing with Jacob for the first half of the season, like it was just a really fun year,
yeah.
and but that whole year, it was like it was weird for me because it was like I was only hearing from D3s. I took my first ever college visit was to St. Joe's, and one thing about me was I was always grateful, but I was never like satisfied with everything, with
Mm,
anything. Like
yeah.
I went on them visits, even though that wasn't my particular goal, but I was never like, oh, like, no, I'm not gonna do this, or
Yeah,
I'm
never too good for any
nah,
type of school.
like,
I love that. That's dope. That's great that you kept that. You show grace. You know what I mean?
yeah, like I went to the visit, like, I was open to hearing what they had to say and things like that. But like ultimately, like they can't really offer athletic scholarships. You know what I mean? And that just wasn't a situation that I could really afford. You know what I mean? So it was just like I appreciate the opportunity, but I got to keep exercising my options. And that was just
Yeah,
always something that I was just focused on, was just continue just to keep working. And the season ended. I was hearing from more D3s, and I think towards the end of the year, I was supposed to hear from St. Thomas Aquinas. That's when Coach Tobin Anderson was there, and he said, "Nah, he's not good enough." I was like, "All right." And then I went to go take a visit to Malloy, and Malloy offered me like a partial scholarship. And I
yeah.
like at the time, I'm like, if they threw me the full, like I was probably gonna commit. Like I had a good time there.
Just
Like it
need the
was.
fully.
No, like I was like, shoot, like I might as well, and I remember walking to like a Rising Stars practice, and apprentice, he was like, yo, like they offered you. I'm like, yeah. He was like, yo, like you gonna take that? And I'm just like, bro, like they didn't even offer me the full, bro. Like I don't know. And he's like, but he understood, at the time
Yeah.
that I couldn't really, do anything with that, and this is when we had that team together, that Rising Stars team, like.
Oh, was it early the May team?
It was, yeah. It was like the spring team. It was
Yeah,
like when
yeah. That was
like
it was me, you, Zatai,
Zate,
Zate, Chase,
yes,
Chase,
John,
Luke, John. Tristan wasn't. I don't think Tristan was there yet.
Tristan wasn't there yet.
Yeah,
It
Tristan
was
wasn't
like
there.
all of us, bro, and
Yeah,
we was
all of it. It was like I was the youngest one because I was going into my senior year. You guys are all seniors, like exercising that like prep option. So it's
yeah.
like only certain guys played for like 3 weeks because then Zate signed with Monroe, and then Chase went to Penn State Harrisburg. So like our team completely changed by the time it was the second live period. So yeah,
Yeah,
my team
because we did that one tournament in
Island Garden.
Island Garden. We won that,
Yeah.
and then we went to Spooky Nuke, and then that was the last time. No, we played
No,
Spooky
gym
Nuke, and
rat,
then
gym rat.
Gym Rat.
Yeah, I wasn't there because I remember I sprained my ankle before we played Rennes.
You did.
Yeah, so I didn't go to gym rat. You guys played two tournaments. It was Kaida. It was like right KYDA. Yeah, so it was that, and then yeah, I remember practice. Yo, you know what we did? Yo, this is the first. Yo, this is really the first time. Oh, we met. It was the City Rocks tryout. Bro, it was like 4 hours away.
But
It
that
was like,
drive was so
bro,
wicked, bro.
nasty. That was a nasty drive. We got there at like 10 because Carter was playing with. It was like what 15s for him. Cause
Yeah.
it was like 11-1, and then 17s were after, and then bro, it was like 300 kids there.
And they already knew who they wanted though.
Yeah,
Like that's they already knew who they wanted the whole time. I
yeah.
was
Shout
I
out to
was
City Rocks though, but yeah, they definitely knew who they wanted.
I was so mad, bro. Like I was so mad. I was so mad. Like I'm like, bro, you wasting my time, bro. I could have just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like it just goes to show you, bro. Like,
yeah,
man, like but I have fun. Like, I wish we played more. But and that was the first time that was the first time I met Will. That was the first time I met Will. I met Will
oh,
there too.
Wilson Door.
Yeah, Will was there too.
Shout out Will, man. Shout out
Um,
to Will. If
bro.
you know, you know, bro.
And then we had a couple more tournaments. Then, yeah, and then it was like, but it was just one tournament we played in PA. It was the last tournament where everybody was together. And
Like Zate and Chase.
I remember this one because this was,
Oh my god, it was no, it was Spooky Nook the first time. It was Spooky Nook the first time. I know exactly because we went to because we played oh my goodness, I'm forgetting. It was a Puma team. Oh my goodness, we played them. We played them super well. They're super tough. We
yeah,
lost, and then went to like that arcade because like we were
yeah,
done. Because if you know in a circuit, if you lose,
yeah.
if the first night is a showcase, so like they're gonna put you in a tough matchup, but it doesn't matter. That Saturday, if you lose during the day, it's a wrap. They're gonna put you in consolation. So like we know it's a wrap. Yeah.
I was concerned like, yo, like I might be done rising stars. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Bro,
Like,
there's only one at the time. There's only one basketball.
I was like, man, I don't know, bro. Like, shoot, but it was just like, but it was obviously early, and
Yeah.
like, and, I spoke to, people's about it, and like, bro, like, if you want to leave, you can leave, but if you want to figure it out, you can figure it out. I'm just like,
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna just figure it out. I'm gonna just keep working. I think after that, the awards like in the Catholic League were coming out.
Okay.
And I wanted Player of the Year so bad that year. And I really believe like I was the Player of the Year. Like I had like my best season so far in high school. Like that second half of the season, like I was just we were winning. You know what I mean? Obviously, in the postseason, I think we lost in the second round. Yeah,
It was
lost in
semis.
the
You guys who'd you guys lose to?
Shaman.
Yeah. What game? What game? Where was that game? Was that at St. Joe's?
Yeah, yeah, I was at St. Joe's, and that
Yeah, I
was a
remember
game.
watching that game.
It was rough, you know what I mean? But man, I was cooked that game too. Like cramped up both legs, everything. I was sick, because I knew it was over for me at St. John's. But I really wanted that Player of the Year, and they gave it to Jalik, and I was pissed. Like I was like, man, you for real? Like, cause like the first time we played them, I had played them for sure. We beat them that game too, and in the second game, we lost that game, and he had a good game that game too. But it was just like that second half of the season. Like I was just like, bro, ain't nobody's touching me right now. Like,
Yeah.
So I really thought I was gonna win it. I think I came second in the voting, and I was so mad. So I printed out the picture and I put it on my wall of him winning Player of the Year, and I wrote all my goals for the summer,
Mm.
and like this is like I had my goals, and then I had the picture of the Player of the Year. And I said, I'm gonna achieve every single one of these goals, and it was like,
That's dope.
It
So
was
can you just quickly like talk about like goal setting and how that's helped you reach your goals and the importance of setting your goals and manifesting almost and just being intentional about your goals, not just saying, "Oh, I want to play in college," being very specific and intentional about like where the work you're putting in is going into.
yeah. I mean, like for me, I think I was always, a goal setter. I always wrote goals, but that was the first time I wrote goals and I put it on my wall. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what made it a game changer because it's like you're always gonna see it in the room. So like anytime you're doing anything in the room, like it's right there. It's glaring right at you. You gotta look at it like it's a constant reminder, you know? And every day you wake up and you're gonna go work out or whatever the case may be, what you're going after. Like for me, like I have very specific goals. I wanted to average a certain amount of points. I wanted to prove that because I was playing the post. I was playing the post at St. John's, and I wanted to prove that I could be a guard, I could play on the wing. That was one of my goals. I had goals of earning multiple Division I scholarships. I wrote on there that I wanted to be, recognized as one of the best players in the Northeast area. And I had like another goal is like make everybody like regret, like passing up on me. Like I had like very specific goals, and that was just something that I chased every single day. It was like that summer I didn't miss a day, because when school was over, I was living with Jacob and Jacob's family, and they were like amazing to me. Like they allowed me to use their car and stuff, and I would wake up at like 5 a.m. and I would go drive to the marina in Bay Shore, and I would go run 2 miles there every single morning. Go run 2 miles there, and then after that, I would go to Jerry's. I go work out there at Jerry's, and then I would go work out with Mike Anderson. I'll go lift weights with him, and then obviously as I'm working out with him, I'm telling him all these things like what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to accomplish, and him being the guy he was assisting me in that. So now after we're lifting, he's bringing me and Jacob outside. Now we running hills. We running hills and we're doing workouts outside. And then after that, boom, I come home. I eat. I'm eating right. He got us on a diet, so now I'm eating. Now my body's changing. And then after that, and I go back to Jerry's. Now we just playing runs. Now we're just hooping. Or like if I don't go back to Jerry's, like I'm driving to the train station, I'm going to the city. I'm playing in New York versus New York, or I'm playing in Watson, or I'm playing in Tri-State, or I'm playing in all these tournaments, like all
Yeah.
around the city. Like I'm just hooping every single day. I'm playing in Gersh everywhere, like
Yeah,
everywhere I could
you got no
find a
choice but
game.
to improve. You got no
Yeah, so
choice.
it's just like I was just playing every single day, and I'm just trying to just like stack those little wins because like in my mind is like if I am the most prepared I can be come July, then there's nothing for me to worry about.
It's a fact.
So I got to make sure that I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do every single day. And that routine, it just became routine for me. Like, I'm like, bro, like, I'm just a sacrifice this summer. I'm going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So those goals, became super real for me because it was just like, when you see it, you speak it, and you believe it, like, it will happen, like it will happen because you are doing those things that are aligning, they're aligning with your goals, so your
Yeah.
goals have no choice but to meet you in the middle, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's like the law of accumulation, like everything that you do, good or bad, like it adds up. If you do something bad, it's gonna add up eventually. If you do something good, it's going to add up eventually. You know what I mean? So it was all them things just building and stacking for me and stacking those wins and those little wins every single day. Like it was huge for me, and it just gave me a certain level of confidence so that when we got to that first tournament, I forget where, I think it was Atlantic City in July.
Yeah.
Like I was very confident, in my personal abilities, but like in my abilities and like my teammates' abilities too, because I know that they were working as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We were
Because
we were locked. We were locked in.
everybody was on the same page. You know what I mean? So it was like if everybody's on the same page, now it gives me less pressure like internally
Yeah.
because it's just like I don't gotta worry about my teammates. My teammates handle their business. I handle my business. Now I gotta go out there and just compete. So
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
summer was huge for me, like in terms of my development, and like Jerry, like always giving me confidence, even though he's hard on all of us. Brennan, same thing.
Facts.
Everybody, Mike, everybody that summer, like Jacob's mom, like cooked for me and Jacob every single day. Like, she like gave us, like she followed like the nutrition like that Mike put us on, and I would literally see my body change like by the week, and it was just like I was like, okay, this is what it feels like to be a pro. This is how it feels like to
Yeah,
prepare yourself as a professional. You know what I mean? And when you're going
definitely.
up against high school kids who aren't preparing like that,
It's nothing. It's nothing.
you
Yeah,
know.
so that leads to our next topic was that summer that Rising Stars AAU team. So it was
Yeah,
me, you, Greg Cantwell,
yeah.
um, John Medley, Tristan Davis, and then the last 2 weeks we got Charlie Phantom. We had a squad. We had a squad. So can you just talk about how again we all had that one thing in mind? Like we all understand like we want to go to college.
Yeah.
We want scholarships, we want offers, we want interest. But can we talk about how we kind of sacrifice like me ball, like me ball? We played team basketball, and that all led us to get into school eventually, and how playing the right way got us where we needed to be.
I mean, because I think it went without saying with us, like we understood like the way to be seen, you gotta win. So for us to win, we gotta play together. You know what I mean? And it was just like we understood that. Like if we're playing together, we're moving the ball, we're playing hard. Like and at the end of the day, the way we were playing defense, and when we're playing defense and Tristan rebounds or I rebound or somebody else rebounds, like we're gone. Like we're playing like this. Everybody's gonna see the ball. Everybody's gonna shoot it. Everybody's gonna just have a fun time. You know what I mean? And like when you have fun competing, it makes winning more and more and more fun. So for me seeing that, especially, I think for me personally, the big thing where I knew like okay, like we're going, like this is going to happen. When we went to Atlantic City, we won. We were killing the first few games. Like I remember, like we were just
Yeah.
cooking. Everybody was cooking. We were winning. And we get to the Final Four game in Atlantic City, we lose.
Oh, that
And
was a
we're crying.
great one.
We're crying. Like there's guys like crying. Like I remember calling my people. Like I'm like, yo, like I mean, we lost. Like I'm so
Yeah.
mad. Like we're crying and stuff. And then like see everybody on like the same page in such a negative moment. It was just like we have no choice but to figure it out because we all want to win so bad because
Yeah,
we
bro.
understand like if we come together and we win, everybody is going to eat. Like there's just no way. Like you know what I mean? Like like what coach is going to go to AU tournament and recruit about 6, 5, around these certain amount of number of guys, and they're all losing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like a coach is going to go to a team that's losing and recruit the one guy who's killing, who's dropping 40, maybe. You know what I mean? But he's going to go to that championship game
exactly.
and recruit like 8 of them guys. You know what I mean? So it's just like we understood that, and you know, like we just wanted to win so bad. And after that, we went right to Spooky Noob. And after that, it was just like, man, we're killing everybody. Like we
Yeah,
have to. Like this is the only way. And we would see them coaches on the sideline coming to our games because we picked up like a bit of steam, a bit of energy, from Atlantic City. But
yeah,
it never made us play more selfish. It made us play more as a team, you know.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and we had all of us just locked in. I remember Greg was locked in, like
It
Trish,
was
like everybody was just trying to just like yo, like picking up full, like we trying to win
full.
this game. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
what
it
I would
was
say for that
serious.
team. But like that Atlantic City, like that was a turning point, like for me,
Definitely,
collectively as a team.
definitely. Yeah, I can say that was a turning point too. Because that last game, that 4-4 game, I think that team was that might have been Columbus from Florida. That was like their team.
It was, bruh.
Was their team, yeah. So I was, and then we were hooping that game. So after that, I was like, oh, like we're hooping, and then it's like, look who we're hooping against. Like we can play against anybody, we can beat anybody. So
Yeah,
there's so much confidence going to that last tournament.
yeah,
And then can we talk about that championship game? Spooky Nuke, we playing EYBL team, we playing Team Takeover, and you score 40 points, 40 in an AAU game, running clock 20. Like, can we talk about how like crazy that is on like let's be real. Like everybody's again, like you said, the intensity was high. 94 free from both teams. Both teams were I've never ever got talking to like that in my life. I remember I shot a three in a kid's face. He was like, "You don't even want to make that. You're sorry. You're sorry." I was like, "Yo, the game just started." Can we please talk about that game, man? 40 points in the championship game. Let's talk about that.
So going into that game, bro, like obviously like I made it like intentional like before every game, like in the hotel room. Like I would always have like my 10 minutes like just listening to my frequency music and I'm just like laying there in silence, just trying to like get my mind right, and just trying to just kind of just calm myself down and not really just think about too much and just really just trusting the work that we've all put in. So, but going into that game, like specifically, I don't know what we ate the night before, but my stomach was killing me. So we get to the game, and I don't really get my routine in like the way I
Yeah.
wanted to because like I gotta go use the bathroom. Like, my stomach's killing me. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, damn, like this is kind of putting this out of whack. But then I'm just like, you know what, bro, like it's all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything's gonna go like the way you want it to go. Like we're here, let's hoop.
Yeah.
And see, the team that we were playing was also like a motivating factor for me. You know what I mean? Because you gotta you gotta always approach every game the same way, but when you have like external factors like that is kind of like motivating in the same way, because like you remember how they were carrying themselves, like they was gonna just pull up and just
Yeah, pull up like, oh, like we didn't qualify for peak. We're gonna smack the
yeah,
ball.
like
Yeah,
just give us
that
belt
definitely.
like our
There's
friend.
definitely. Yeah, they thought it was sweet. Like you know what I mean. Like people heard Rising Stars like before now because Rising Stars. Shout out to them. They've done a great job of propelling the
Yeah,
culture over there, and it's a winning program. But
yeah,
let's call a spade a spade. 2022, we didn't get the respect we deserved. Like
nah,
people thought, right, oh, Long Island, they thought it was sweet. They
yeah,
rolled in like, oh, we're gonna smack them. Like that's no,
yeah.
say how it is. That's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. So like they didn't really respect us like that. You know what I mean? So I remember, Molly and Coach Omar, they was like, they was hyping us up and stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And, like, like we was ready for that game, bro. And it was just there was only one like goal on my mind. It was just win, like just win. Everybody, and we was in the middle court too, so everybody was there. So I'm just like, bro, like we just gotta win this game. Once we win this game, like this is it for us right here. You know what I mean? And it's one of them moments where I can't really describe it too much, because it was really just flow state. It was really everything that it was literally all the work I put in a whole summer just came together in that one game, because it was like running on the beach. I felt light on my feet, I felt light on my feet. I didn't get tired. I wasn't tired at all that game, working out, with Jerry and stuff, getting my handle right, getting my shot right. When you get fatigued, your mind is still locked in. You're able to make the moves to get to the basket, all them things. We're playing defense, we're moving the ball, like it was just everything was just flowing, like and I don't even remember the score, I don't even I wasn't even thinking about how much I was scoring at the time. I was just in attack mode. Like anytime I had the ball, I'm just going downhill. Like I'm going downhill and I'm just gonna make a play, and that's what I was thinking, and they just couldn't stop me, and then at the end of the game, he was like, oh, you had 40 some, whatever. I'm just like, I didn't even know I was scoring that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't my focus. I think that's why I had the performance that I did, because that just wasn't my focus at all, was to score the ball. My focus
Yeah.
was to win the game. And it was just it was literally, that game really, it really changed my life, I'm gonna be real, because, after that game, that that whole summer, I was in contact with the Trinity coach, the school that Tristan goes to,
Yeah.
and they, I had a Zoom call with them, multiple Zoom calls with them, and I was always, very open to, to speaking to them. And the head coach came up to me. He was like, yeah, obviously we've been recruiting you, and The reality is you have gotten way better than our program. And I know some guys at, UNBC, and I told them about you. I told them how, how real and honest and, how open you've been, to being recruited by us. You've surpassed our level. We pass you on to them. And then, then like 30 seconds later, UNBC comes up to me, offers me right after that game, and all these other schools, I think Maine, Stony Brook, like it was all that
Yeah.
same day. They all offered me that day. But like nobody really knows. It's like the night before we were all messing around at the hotel with Will, E-Man, and them. And I ended up falling in the pool with my phone in my pocket. So my phone is fried. So I can't, like,
Oh, I forgot about that. I
I
forgot that
can't,
your phone was cooked.
I couldn't, like, no school could really call me. So, like, I go back to Long Island. I'm at Jacob's crib. And I'm basically telling them, like, call the house phone. And they're calling,
Mhm.
like, my house, they're calling the house phone at Jacob's house and stuff. And like, like that next day was crazy. Like Maine called me, Penn State called me, Towson called me. All these schools are calling me, like all like but like this is just a span of like 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like but it was just like, a lot of people will hear this and they'll think like, oh, it was that one game changed. Like, no,
No, it was
it
games,
wasn't even the summer. It was
numbers
the whole
with the S
year.
behind.
Like everything like that accumulated to that moment, brought me, to having, that experience that I did for the rest of the summer, and and then that led me to, thinking like, oh, am I gonna like skip out on Combine Academy and then go straight to college, or am I gonna go
Yeah.
to Combine? You know what I mean? So I had a lot of things to think about, and like it was crazy because being having your life change like that quick, it can be pretty overwhelming. That's not really
Yeah.
something that you get told, or you get you prepare for. It's not really something that like I was ever thought about. I thought about like a lot of scenarios. I thought about how I'd react to X, Y, and Z, but that wasn't something that I was like, oh shoot, like you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
I was getting all these calls, and I'm on the phone all day, and people are telling me, you gotta post on Twitter, you gotta do this, you gotta reply to this, you gotta answer this, like you gotta write. I'm like, yo, like I need a second, So like
Yeah.
all them things were building up, So it was a crazy time, but that game was crazy. Like it was a crazy game, and then after the game, because obviously after that tournament we had the Mohegan Sun tournament,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
we didn't know because we thought that was it. We thought that was it. And
We
then
thought that was it. You know what I mean? And then
yeah.
after that game, the team takeover coach comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, like you trying to come play with us at Peach Jam, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Bro, nah, like, nah, like you know what I
This
mean?
man
Like,
playing for the
nah."
program.
I'm not gonna switch up because it's like, in reality, I did want to play EYBL at a certain point,
Yeah.
and I did try to get seen by them EYBL teams, and none of them wanted me. Now that I cooked you guys, now you wanna mess with me? Like, nah, I'm cool. Like, nah,
You gotta go where
I'm,
you
I'm
wanted, and like when you know what I mean. You gotta go where you wanted, not where you're.
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's cool to try, call me over now, but like, nah, I'm cool off that, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, that game was a crazy game, but like also like Tristan had a crazy game that game too, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like
He's blocking
Tristan,
everything.
yeah, like Tristan had a crazy game that game too, and like Sacred Heart and Wagner, they were like, yo, like they wanted both of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, man, it was a crazy experience,
Yeah.
crazy week.
So that leads me on to you talked about it a little bit, just like your mentality. Because I remember the hotel room. That's the one thing about that last summer playing AU that I really cherish and that you really put me on to is just getting your mind right. Like I'm a pretty focused individual, but just me, you, and Tristan just talking about we gotta get out of here. Like we gotta change like this like dynamic. You gotta change like the culture because again, Rising Star wasn't really like it's a respected program in Long Island. Like that's 100% a fact. But to like the masses, like they thought every team thought they were just gonna walk all over us, and we were just like, we're all driven, we're all focused. We just want this so bad, and we just talked about it and just about us all playing in college because we all had the belief that listen, like we're capable basketball players, like we're good people, like we're gonna play at the next level, and just talk about how like we really locked in and that like mentality kind of rubbed off on everybody on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Tristan was my roommate, for literally all of the tournaments. We just be in the room. That's all we would talk about, And then when you would pull up, that's all we would talk about. You know what I mean? Because that's just what we wanted. When you're around like-minded individuals, it's not hard to stay on the right path. You know what I mean? Because everybody is on the same journey. So for me, like my mindset, in particular, like it was really just like I done sacrificed too much. I done put
Mm,
too much time in. Like, you think I'm gonna come in here and waste my time? Like, I'm not finna do that. Like, I'm not doing that like at all. Like, I had so much motivation going into that summer. Like I wanted to prove to everybody, but like most importantly to myself, like, I'm not crazy. These feelings that
yeah,
I feel like deep down in my soul, like I'm not crazy. Like I'm capable of doing this. I will accomplish these things, and I will accomplish what I put my mind to. What, like my mom used to always tell me, like you can do anything you put your mind to.
mm,
So that was just something that always stuck with me. But also, being around you guys, like you guys also like motivated me also because like you guys wanted it bad too. Like Tristan wanted it bad. Like everybody, like they wanted it. Like people might think like we're exaggerating it, but it's just not the case. Like we really wanted to be successful that
facts.
summer. Like we wanted to accomplish everything we set out to doing. So
Yeah, definitely.
it was just that's just really just what it was. Like it's not really anything complicated or like
Exactly.
out of the ordinary. It's just if you want to like just go after it, but we didn't waste our time prior to those tournaments,
Yeah, we were scouting games. Like, how many AAU teams are really scouting games? Like, we'd be done at 7. A team in the other brackets playing. We may play them. We don't know for a fact, but we're going at 9. We're talking about the game. I remember at Mohican Sun there was a pizza place. We got a pizza. It's me, you, and Tristan, and we're talking about the game. We're talking about how we're gonna attack a defense if they come out in a zone or if they just stay man. Like we attacked that game like how college teams attack their games, and I feel like that just being so locked in on that one joint goal like just propelled our success. Because
100%.
every time you scored, it felt like I scored. Every time I had an assist, it felt like Tristan got an assist. Every time Tristan punched it on somebody, it felt like we all dunked on somebody. So that synergy just propelled us even more. So that was great.
100%, bro. Like, and like Mohegan, it was just like, because we're obviously coming off that Spooky Noob tournament. So it was just like, we were just all flowing. Like, it was no pressure. Like, we accomplished, what we set out to do initially. Now it's just like, now let's continue to build
Playing with
on
house money.
what we were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's just go get another one then,
Yeah.
So we just, we just attacked it just like the last one. We never got satisfied. Like we just wanted just to keep going out there and winning. Like we were looking after our bodies. We didn't have the, I don't know. Like I hear other people's AAU experiences and they're going out there having fun and they're doing this, that, and the third. Like we didn't really have that experience. Like
Yeah,
we
we
were
was
really
locked in.
we were just there just to play basketball because that's what we came here to do. We knew other teams were out doing
Yeah.
whatever. If you're gonna do that, you're gonna play against us. You're not gonna beat us. You know what I mean? So it's just like Mohegan was also very fun. Like we were
That was
cooking then
great.
too. So
That was
just
great.
just like like they say, July is the most important month. Just to have the July that we did, you couldn't ask for a better summer to end the way that it did for us.
Definitely. And that just put a lot of perspective under my belt because coming off that, I had a great junior year high school season. And then
Yeah.
I thought, like, damn, like, that's it. Like, I didn't really see too far after, like, on the AAU side because, again, like, after it's such a quick turnaround. You're playing school basketball you have, like, open gym September. So September to March. We got lucky enough to play on the last day of March. That was the last day of New York State basketball. We were fortunate enough to make it to the championship game. So then right into AAU. So I was kind of thrown into the mix. But just
Yeah.
playing with you guys and you guys is really again I was the youngest, but you guys
Yeah.
just rubbed off on me. Just you got to mature, like you said. The best way to get better is just maturing and just like yeah, you're playing against grown men. So what? And I feel
Yeah.
like that was like our team attitude. It's like, yeah, we're from Long Island. Yeah, we're a little bit undersized. We don't really have a true center. Yeah, we don't have any offers yet, but so what? And I feel like that kind of rubbed off on me, and I feel like we all just like rubbed that off on each other. Like we just had that mentality that we were just gonna get it no matter what.
100%, bro.
After that summer, you go on to combine.
Yeah.
After that, you have some adversity,
Yeah.
you have an injury, and then you end up at JUCO, and
Yeah.
then you lose your mind again. Like you lose your mind again. I remember it was the spring of my freshman year at college. I'm on Twitter. I'm like, yo, I haven't heard from you in a minute. Like you went Batman on me. So I go on Twitter. There's like a 17-minute montage.
Yeah.
No exaggeration. Like it was like on some mellow vibes. Like, you see your accolades like region, first team region, 2-time player of the week. The accolades go on. Like I'll put it up on a clip on this post, but you just lost your mind. So can you just talk about how, you had the success, the peaks and valleys. That's what my parents call it. You saw the peaks, and then you had some valleys, and then you peaked again. So can you talk about again how you just find a way just to fry? Like, can you just talk about that?
I mean, shoot. So, going to combine. Now is a different environment, right? I mean, I'm basically around, the top players in the country like every single day.
Even playing field.
So it was like, mind you, I go there. I'm not even on the national team. I'm on the regional team, and we get to playing. In the early days or whatever, they never knew who I was before I got there. Of course, now they're just like, oh, like who's this? They try to, obviously, eventually they try to get me on the national team, but like it didn't work out like that. Which honestly, like, I'm happy, it didn't, because it's like everything happens for a reason, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
there were certain things that I needed to work on individually, and maybe me being on the other team wouldn't have allowed me to do so, So
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to everything, but everything's just all about how you approach it mentally, and I was always aware of that, but um, everything was a learning experience for me, because we had the college workouts and all these schools that come down, and I was cooking that whole week. Like I was cooking like in front of USC, Oregon, like UNC, like Tennessee, like all these schools are pulling up. And I'm killing, and me thinking like, bro, I'm killing like this, like they gotta throw me the O, but
Yeah.
I
Throw me
spoke
the
I
ball.
spoke to some of them, but it was just like they never offered me, you know what I mean? And then that's when you learn like, okay, like no school, no high major wants to be like, a rising senior's first high major offer. Like they don't want to do that, because now all these other schools are gonna offer me, So it was just that the game within the game, So I was just getting other mid major offers and stuff. I was hearing from these schools, and I was just like, you know what, I kind of want to be done with this recruitment process. Let me just commit to the school that first offered me, And, in hindsight is always 2020 vision. Should I have committed, to UMBC at that time? No, I should have definitely waited and, took other visits and, seeing like what is really the best fit, for me, But, again, like being overwhelmed with everything, you don't really want to lose something you work so hard for, But our reality is, I'm not getting worse. I'm getting better. So how could I lose
Mhm.
it? You know what I mean? So,
I like
um,
that.
like I didn't really think of it like that, and I made an impulse decision, and later down the line, I ended up decommitting from there, and it was like some whole big deal, because like couldn't get my papers out in time and all these things, and now within that time of them holding like my papers and stuff, I ended up hurting my knee. I ended up finding out that I need to have surgery like on a torn meniscus. So now, like when I finally get my papers, I'm able to announce that I decommitted and my recruitment's back open. I'm hearing from all these other schools, they want me to come in and work out. So I ended up actually going to two schools on a torn meniscus and working out. I went to Vermont, worked out there, and they're like, "Yo, he looks slow, he looks this." I'm like, "Yeah." The whole time I never told him I had a torn meniscus, but I was still working
Yeah.
out. UNC Asheville, I went there. I worked out there. I ended up dunking a couple times too. Like my knee in the hotel is just swollen. Like I'm just cooked. None of them schools offer me, and it was really just a test of faith like that whole time, because USC Upstate offered me, and I was going to, and then like the next day I was gonna go take a visit there and go commit on the visit. I wake up, my mom's ready, she's finna go on the visit with me. Coach calls me. He goes, "Yeah, we offer some other kid. He actually committed. We can't bring you on the visit no more." I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. So it's like I'm going through all these things. I'm like, wow, this is crazy, you know. And so then like eventually I'm like, you know what, like I'm shutting it down. Like I'm telling all these schools I'm hurt, I can't even do nothing right now. Like move on from me, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was a rough summer for me. Like it was a very rough summer for me because you know it just wasn't how I expected my summer to go, especially after you know the last summer and my last year of combine and things like that. So you know you have a lot of time to sit in a room and think. And to be honest, I was depressed, man. I was down. You know, if you ever asked Jacob, Jacob knew. Like I was just in my room like the whole day, just laying down, just like I don't want to do nothing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm hearing from you know all these other schools, and I just don't really want to hear about none of that. You know, I'm hearing from like so then. Eventually, you know, after I have my surgery in July, I'm like, you know what? Let me just talk to these JUCOs, and you know, I'm hearing from like top JUCOs like in Texas and all these things, and I'm like in Florida. I'm like, okay, like, do I go there? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really trust these coaches. I don't really trust you know anything about this.
Yeah.
But one of my best friends, you know, from back home, is at a small JUCO in Iowa, and his coach is like notorious named Brian Bender. He's notorious at getting guys Division 1. You know what I mean? So I'm calling him to try and help me get to you know get an offer. You know, like he got me in contact with like NJIT in Toledo like this. But like they never offered me, but they were close. But it was just like the fact that he was able, you know, to do that
To
for
do
me.
that in
Like
such a short period of time. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just like okay, like you know, and then you know me and him we spoke on the phone for like an hour, you know, and you know there's this other school that was close to getting me too, and you know he was on the phone with you know, with my family member, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm really good at getting guys to Division 1, and the only person who's really better than me at doing that is Brian Bender. Whole time, he doesn't know I'm getting recruited by Brian Bender. So now when he said that, it made it a very easy decision for me, and I
Yeah.
decided,
Made
just
it a
go.
no brainer.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna be with my best friend anyway. Like, I'm gonna be comfortable in this uncomfortable environment. Like, I'm gonna go here, you know, and um, you know, coming off, you know, the knee injury and you know all these things, like I was in a different place mentally, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, I really just wanted just to focus on just getting out, you know, and my mindset was, you know, all over the place at first, but it was like in order for me to really do what I want to do, I got to get rid of all sorts of distractions. I don't want to be on Instagram and see my peers having their first year in college and posting about it and doing all these things. Now you get into the whole game of comparing yourself to somebody else
Definitely.
when you're not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? You're supposed to only run your own race. You know,
Facts.
and lead to every single social media, ESPN, everything. I didn't have nothing on my phone. Like I was just there, present with my teammates. Only spoke to family. Didn't speak to nobody. I'm just like I'm here, you know, and
It's beautiful.
you know, and having you know the first half of the year, you know, just trying to get used to like you know how my knee feels and stuff, and then coming back from Christmas break, everything changed from there, you know. And I mean, the work never changed. The work was the same, and it all came together at you know my favorite time of the year is when you know the pressure's on the most, and that was a playoff time, you know, and
Facts. You know, if you know one thing about Clint,
like
you know when it's
that's
time to win.
that's my favorite time of the year. So
Yeah.
we play in a region tournament. Get to the chip game. Playing a team that we lost to 2 times during the season. We were down double digits at half, and I think I go out and score like 21 in the second half. Finish the game with 30. We win the game at their place. We were the fourth seed. They were the first seed. We beat them at their place. So, you know, essentially punch our ticket. We win the chip. You know, I think I won MVP. I was on all tournament team, all this. First team all conference. Like I was able to stack up those awards real quick. Then boom, we go to the national tournament. Able to have a few, you know, I mean, had good games there. We lost in the final 4 games. We played in the third place game. Had 32 in my last game at JUCO. Made the national all tournament team, and you know after that recruitment started. But my teammate and my boyfriend back home, he was getting highly recruited. So we were both getting recruited, around the same time and things like that. And it was just, I was able to accomplish what I set out to do. And the main thing is I wanted to, stamp myself as a winner, and get myself a nice big shiny ring. So able to do that, and then I ended up, committing here, in May.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, two things. First, that's actually how I got signs that you were alive again because you really did do those things, man. I was texting you. I was like, yo, it's been a minute because I mean we spent every day to damn near every day together going into my senior year out, and then you know what I mean. But you gotta do
Yeah.
what you gotta do, and just want to just applaud you for getting out that dark place because that mental health is no joke. We spend
Yeah.
a lot of time playing a game and it gets lost that we're playing a game. So the
Yeah.
fact that you're able to get yourself out of it, that's beautiful and that's really inspiring. That's going to help a lot of people. Second thing, so you kind of had the same thing happen to you twice. Quick, people that overnight thing. It was quick. What'd you learn from the first time? You said it was overwhelming. Went back down again to zero. Then you build yourself back up, and it happened all again. All the offers, all the things. So what'd you learn? What was the biggest thing that you learned that was able to help you make the decision that you made?
The biggest thing for me, bro, was just like, bro, like these schools are on my time. They're
Mm,
like, I'm not on their time. You know what I mean? But like in the most like humble way possible, trying to say that because it's like the first time around, I remember, I took my first visit, to UMBC, like, yeah, man, like, we don't know how long this offer is going to be on the table, like, we really like you, really recruiting you, but, like, we just don't know how this, how this thing works, this, that, and the third, to whereas, you fast forward, they try to do the same thing. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm hearing from other schools. I want to see, my other options. I want to make sure if I'm going to make this decision, it's the right decision for me. When you say that to a school, now, next thing you know, like the next week, now they send their assistant coach to come down to the JUCO and watch me work out again and just spend time with me and things like
see
that.
how
And
serious they really are about you. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like, so if they're really trying to recruit you, like they'll, you know what I mean? Like I had schools pull up to the JUCO, like come, like, see me, sit down with me. Like I had the head coach from Denver, to pull up and, we sat down and we spoke for a couple hours in the coach's office, like, things like that, like because, and I would be, real and honest with them, like, yeah, I'm really just trying to take my time because my first time around, I didn't really have a good experience with this, so I want to really make sure that, I'm making the right decision for me, and, no, I'll know, like you'll have that real feeling, and I had that real feeling about, UNCG, so when I had that feeling, about this place as a whole, not really just, about, like I guess the area or the scenery, whatever the case may be, that's not really important. The big thing is about basketball. If I really wanted to go, for scenery and whatever, I would have committed to, to UC Riverside. You know what I mean? Like I would have just went to go to Cali and just go have a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But that's not really, what I really wanted to do for real. I really wanted just to go to a place where I can develop, work on my weaknesses, and just become a better basketball player every single day. So that's what led me to coming here.
that's dope. And for people watching, it's the second viewer in the row. Actually, third person we had on here to talk about fit over names. If you guys didn't think that was important, it really is. Like fit is really everything. The final question, I asked the same question. What's your journey been like, and what's your main message?
Journey, man, my journey's just been, my journey's just been unique to myself. I don't think anybody's journey is the same as the next person's. I think the most important thing everybody got to realize is, you know, your journey's not the same as my journey. My journey's not the same as Tristan's journey. You know what I mean? So when we're going around, this crazy basketball world and we're trying to accomplish what we're all trying to accomplish is we can take inspiration from somebody else's story, but their story isn't going to be ours. So if my timeline doesn't align with somebody else's timeline, that's okay. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like when God created us, He created us in His image, what He's seen us, to be, in this world and to, accomplish the things that He wanted to accomplish at His time. Once I got comfortable in the fact that like it won't happen on my time, it'll happen on his time, then like what am I ever stressing about? You know what I mean? I'm able to detach myself from the result and the objective and just be present within the journey, because that's really the blessing the whole time. You know what I mean? Because if you have this goal and you're just chasing after it, if you're chasing after something that's running away from you, if you detach yourself and you just do everything you're supposed to do every single day, it'll attract you and it'll meet you um, when it's supposed to meet you, you know. And if it doesn't happen for you, and if something doesn't happen for me, then I look at, okay, then God said that I'm not supposed to have it at this time. So it's just like, okay, now we just redirect ourselves and we continue to push forward. That's all you can do. You know what I mean? You got to control what you can control. Like, that's real life. You know what I mean? Like, not everything is going to go the way that you want it to go. You know what I mean? And you just got to be aware of that. Nothing is ever wasted. You know, my JUCO coach used to always say, I used to think it was corny at the time, but it's real. Like your actions are never wasted; they're only stored. You know what I mean? Like that's so real, because it's,
I'm gonna need you to say that again. That was
your
profound.
actions are never wasted; they're only stored, bro. You gotta
Yeah.
store your actions. You know what I mean? Because it's like the work that you're putting in November, you might not see it until next November. You know what I mean? But if you put the work in November and you don't see it by December and you stop, what are you doing? Now you're just wasting all of that. Now you're never gonna see it. You know what I mean? So you just gotta just be aware that, you know, if it's meant to be, it'll be, you know, and you just gotta just continue just to stack them little wins, and you just gotta be bold in the fact that if you have a vision in your mind that it comes from the man above, then don't let nobody outside tell you otherwise. You just gotta be just confident within yourself and within your being that this is what you're calling. Go after it and do what you got to do to get there. Like, it's really that simple. Like, you know, we all have one life. Where everybody is going to die. Like, why are you going to to go after something that you're going to be unhappy doing? Like, I'll be damned. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I'm happiest doing in this life of mine. That's playing basketball, and that's having fun, and that's, you know, trying to inspire many people along the way as I can. You know, if anybody tries to tell me otherwise, then that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm secure within myself, and I'm able just to keep on going. Like, that's just what it is. Yeah, bro.
I love that. I love that. You know, that's why I wanted you on here. You're one of the most, you know what I mean, impactful people I've met in a long time. You know what I mean? I just want to say, you know, appreciate you, brother. You know, podcast aside, just for your time and energy and your words, man. Like that summer, like we were all, there was a point where we were all at a low point. Me, you, Tristan, Greg. Like we were all like, damn, John. Like we didn't know if we was gonna get recruited. We didn't know. So the fact that we all just took that sacrifice together and doubled down, that's just really special. Something that I really hold dear. You know, basketball aside, like that character that we all showed, that means a lot. So for you to just say that was beautiful. You know, what is delayed is not denied. That's a
Yeah,
quote that Don
yeah.
Staley has up in the gym at South Carolina, one of the most successful coaches of all time across any sport. So that was beautiful, man. So that wraps up episode 3 of the P Pod. I'm your host, Malachi Polson. Special thank you to Clint for his time, his energy.
Thank you for having me, bro.
My
Nah,
brother,
for real. I
my brother.
appreciate you, bro.